there has been a major shift in social media platforms, specifically on X. Now, of course, we've seen this shift happen on Facebook and YouTube a little bit, and even YouTube coming out very recently and saying, hey, look, you know what, we changed what we're doing now. We used to censor people based off of what Biden wanted. Now we're not doing that anymore. But where we really have seen the biggest change is actually on Twitter, or X as it's called today. So this is all about the swing that's happened over the last few years, where even CNN, of all places, as biased as they are, they have to cover this. They have to talk about the swing that's happened on social media. So let's check out their coverage of that right now.
And oh my goodness gracious, what a tremendous, monumental shift on the regular news consumers on Twitter/X. You go back to 2021, the party ID margin. Democrats were 37 points more likely. You were 37 points more likely to be a Democrat on Twitter or X than a Republican. Jump ahead to this side of the screen. It's completely changed around. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now it's a 14-point lead for Republicans on Twitter/X. We're talking about a 51-point shift in the margin. And John and I were talking about it just before. You can see it with your own eyes. This is polling reflecting what you're seeing in the social media real world, where all of a sudden, John, you just see a lot more Republicans in your feed.
I like the word social media real world.
I mean, you have to ask the question, why is this actually the case, right? So there are several reasons as to why this is actually happening. Or happened at the time in 2021. So first of all, you actually had a lot of conservatives getting banned. I mean, remember what happened in 2021 or before, slightly before 2021 and 2020? It was COVID, right? That was when everybody was on social media talking about other alternatives, other things that they were trying to basically try and treat what was happening with COVID and everything. And then what did you see? You saw the mainstream media, you saw all the social media platforms basically banning any and everyone that didn't agree with the CDC's ever-changing opinion on the situation, right? All of the different numbers on the deaths and everything, and the cases and everything that was kind of spiraling out of control at that time. Everybody was getting banned for it, for anything and any opinion that didn't align with what the CDC was saying, which of course, like I said, changed every week, every few months. There's a new thing that was coming out that validated those opinions. And did you think that, X or YouTube retroactively brought those people back? Of course they didn't. They were permanently banned for giving an opinion that just wasn't in line with what was the standard for the Democrats at the time. So you had a lot of conservatives that just couldn't be on the platform. They didn't have a voice to even speak on the platform at that time. Of course, they're not going to bring that up, but that was what was happening. You also had a resurgence of a lot of Parler, a lot of other social media platforms that were coming along that were offering alternatives to Twitter at the time as well, because of the fact that these people had their voice effectively stolen from them, right? So that was what was happening. So of course you had a massive swing for Democrats at the time on Twitter, because they were doing everything that they could, Twitter specifically, and Jack Dorsey, if you remember the old CEO of Twitter, he was doing everything that he could to basically ban anybody off of the platform that did not agree with the status quo. It was absolutely a bloodbath on Twitter, and always was that way. And now things have obviously twisted around ever since Elon Musk has taken over the platform. So we've seen a completely different shift, because Elon literally said before he bought Twitter that, when he was asking everybody, should I buy this platform? Right? Because it is a public space where all voices should be welcomed, right? And it should not lean one way or another. But the point is that all of a sudden, once he brought that back and fired everybody that was there and redid the moderation tools and everything that Twitter had, all of a sudden, all these conservatives were able to be brought back. He started unbanning a lot of people, right? So that was really what was taking place at the time and what's happening now.
World there.
It's real to me, gosh darn it.
Okay, so again, this is a huge shift. You just don't see shifts like this in general. But what about the idea that there are other social media places that Democrats can go, and maybe that they're going there instead, and that's making up for it all?
Yeah, there are a lot of folks that I know who are on the left side of the aisle who ran over to Blue Sky or ran over to Threads. But here's the deal, Johnny O. The bottom line is those are minuscule compared to Twitter or X. Use this social media in 2025. 21% of Americans are on Twitter or X. Threads, it's just 8%. Blue Sky, even smaller.
Yeah, I mean, what were they expecting that to actually happen? Now, to be fair, when the conservative platforms were trying to offer alternatives, they were fairly small too in comparison to Twitter. But the point is that Democrats are kind of two-faced in this situation, right? Because on the one hand, they say, you know what, I don't like Elon. I don't like the fact that he's allowing free speech on Twitter, or at least some portion of free speech, right? It's definitely more than what we previously had. But they're now looking at this other platform and they're saying, well, I want the echo chamber. I want to only be amongst other people that speak exactly like me, think exactly like I do, and they don't want any dissenting opinion whatsoever to be available on the platform. All of those bigots and whatever they call us, they don't want us to be on that platform at all, so they're going to go over there where they can get their old Twitter moderation back, right? The problem is, nobody's on those sites. Not enough people are on that site to really support what's really happening. I think at the end of the day, they also have to realize that they also love the drama. They love arguing against conservatives. They love writing the hate comments. I mean, if you remember back in the day with when Jack Dorsey was in charge of Twitter, if you looked at Trump's Twitter, and this was before obviously he was banned, and looked at the comments, all of the top comments were of other prominent Democrats that had their own big Twitter accounts and big followings. They literally made a career on responding to Trump's tweets. I mean, you know the ones I'm talking about. They literally sat there every single day waiting. As soon as Trump posted a tweet, they were the first ones to comment. They made it a career so that they could get that top comment on the post of them complaining, saying something mean or whatever it is. They made a complete career out of it, and nobody would know who these people are because they were completely irrelevant outside of Twitter if it wasn't for them just having that basically TDS to comment on every single tweet that Trump posted at the time. So they love that drama as much as they want to pretend as if they don't. They absolutely love it. So they're kind of two-faced in that sense.
Just 4%. You add together the 4 plus the 8, that gets you to 12%. That is only about half the level that are on Twitter/X. So as Twitter/X has gone to the right, yes, there are people, as Johnny moves away from me, from the left, who have come over and started to use either Threads or Blue Sky, but that does not have the megaphone, as my voice is oftentimes, that Twitter/X does. So the bottom line, that Twitter/X has become much more further right, has been a real difference maker in terms of what folks are hearing when they go into the social media real world.
You don't need a megaphone. Harriet and hashtag, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you get the idea there. And really, this is a no-brainer. I mean, I obviously knew this was happening. You can feel it happening if you just go to the website, that people are back. Prominent accounts that were gone are now back in action and everything. So this shift has absolutely taken place. And I think what we're going to continue to see is that shift continue to widen. I don't think that the shift towards being a little bit more right-leaning for Twitter is because of the fact that Democrats are necessarily leaving. It's definitely not because they're getting banned. I'll tell you that right now. We know that they still don't get banned, but the point still is the same, is that they never had to deal with the censorship that conservatives had to deal with on Twitter. They never did. Them leaving is a completely voluntary action, whereas back in 2021, the conservatives that were taken off of Twitter and went somewhere else were doing it out of force. They didn't have another option. Some of them, that was their only platform until they were unbanned on Twitter after the fact and could come back to the platform. So that was what was happening at this time. So it's funny seeing that CNN has to cover this. They have to bring this up because it is a massive just kind of driving factor in the public conversation. And at the time, I mean, when the 2020 election took place, you saw the social media companies, I mean, they went hard to make sure that any conservative opinions were squashed as much as possible. They didn't want any of that information to get out because they knew if people see this common sense opinion, they're going to like that common sense opinion, and they don't want that to happen. And so now we're seeing this shift. So really, we'll see what the future elections hold, because with Twitter having as much market share as it does, and it being really the kind of shining beacon for platforms of having at least somewhat more free speech oriented policies on there. It doesn't mean they're perfect. They're definitely not. There's definitely people that have been banned that shouldn't have been banned on the platform, but you still are seeing it going in the right direction. And it's in a direction that is completely the opposite of what the Democrats want for themselves. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you on Twitter? Are you enjoying the way that it is? Do you think there's things that needs to be fixed on that platform? Also, if you're on there, make sure to follow me as well. William5849 is down below as well. But other than that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.